Yeah, today we're bottling that sack mead. Okay, so on November 21st, 2019, we started the Step Feed Sack Mead. And it's been a tumultuous journey, you might say. We started with 3 pounds of honey and a little bit of orange zest, which I actually really like the orange zest. It's come through as hints of oranginess in a couple of the tastings. It's worked out really, really well. Along the way, we added another ½ pound of honey and another ½ pound of honey. Then we finally added yeast hulls, and now it's done. This has been sitting since March 15th of 2020. Today is June 3rd, 2020. So if it ain't done now, it's done anyway. It's going to get bottled. At a certain point, you just got to go with it. When I look at this does not look clear, okay? I am okay with that. Let me tell you a little story. When I was growing up, I heard the word mead. And it was always said like that, mead. And you thought of Vikings and big burly men with long beards and drinking from like horns and big mugs and smashing them together. And what I actually was thinking of when I heard the word mead was what we would call grog, which is kind of a beer, wine, mead, other stuff, mud, dirt.
All the stuff that's around,
mixture.
throw in a bucket.
And you know what? It probably looked just like this. So to me, this is what mead really is. I mean, it's just kind of an odd thing. But we're going to prove today that clarity and good taste actually do not necessarily go together. First, what we want to do is take a reading on this. So you might notice my lovely hillbilly rubber band method that was falling apart anyway, of holding the bung in. This is a weird bottle. This is a 3-liter Carlo Rossi wine bottle that came with sangria that was kind of tasty, I might add. But we use this when we're at a volume that there's just not a lot left. So you can see there's very little ability for this to hit oxygen. Not a problem. But it does mean there's going to be less volume, which is a shame because I remember when we tasted this before, it was pretty good. And in case you're wondering why I'm taking the reading, well, there's a lot of reasons. One, I like to know, is this really, really done, even though I'm fairly certain it's done? And, just to calculate the final ABV of it. There's nothing wrong with knowing how much alcohol you just made. You put in the work, you deserve to know.
Also, on rare occasions, Brian makes mistakes.
Hush now. We don't want to tell people that.
So it's always best to double check just to make sure you're all good.
Yep. What you have to understand is we do everything on camera. So we are thinking as well as trying to talk, as well as trying to think of things that we can add that might help the experience for you, as well as actually doing this stuff for the first time. There is no retakes here, folks. This is only going to get racked once this way. All right, so that is good. Notice what I did. I had a little extra. I didn't put it back in here because I might have stirred up yeast. I might have stirred up lees. But yeah, this is some cloudy stuff. I mean, look at that. Let me get a backlight here to show you. You see that now? See, it is not clear. It is cloudy as all heck. And you know what? I don't care. To me, that's what mead looks like, okay? It just could be my distorted memory of it or whatever. I don't really care. But let's get a reading. When last we checked in on this, it was a 1.060. Correct?
Yes.
It is now 1.060, which you could argue this has stalled. And I might even agree with you. I think it did. But it stalled, again, in a good way. And because it has not kicked up again for 2 months, I don't think it's going to. However, we are going to bottle this off and put it into storage and see what happens to it in, 3, 4, 5 months. But first, I want to pour off a little bit more for the taster. We'll get to this in a little bit. And now, we're going to introduce our latest cast member, Wibble. He does not wobble, but he also does not fall down. Wibble stands for the White Bucket of Levitation, and we use that for racking now because, well, why didn't we think of this before? It's kind of convenient. We already have them, and it's about the right height, so it works out perfect. Just going to put our brew up on top. Get out our bottling.
Can you please pour that into your bucket before you spill it?
I'm also going to pour this sample back into the pitcher, not the fermenter, because that way I would stir up some lees and make a mess. Pouring it now at the request of my lovely partner because I was going to knock it over. So I will take the auto siphon and stick it in. Now, these bottles are a little bit weird. You can pretty much only go straight down, more or less. So we might end up with a little bit more wastage than we really want. That is, unfortunately, some of the disadvantage to using different bottle types sometimes. There is some lease in the bottom, so we want to start about halfway through. Once it gets going, let it go. Okay, so now we have our racked liquid. And as you can see, that is not a full gallon, which we knew that already. 3 liters is only about 3/4 of a gallon. So we're going to bottle. Now to bottle, we use an auto siphon. We use a bottling wand, which is the thing with the little spring at the end. Liquid flows, liquid stops. Flows, stops. Very simple. I push it on about a 1/2 inch like I always say, because any more and good luck getting it off later. Any less and good luck having it stay on throughout the entire bottling process. Learn from my mistakes. So let's just drop this in there. We're using a bottle that we're using it the first time today. We've done it with a couple other brews. It's worked really well. When I say a couple other brews, we just recorded them. It seems pretty thick, well built. They're pretty nice. I mean, they're a wine bottle. They use a screw cap. That seems like they should last a long time. The caps are probably even replaceable if they become a problem. I would never use this for a carbonated brew. These are not made for that. They are made for stills, however. And since this has been sitting for so long, there's no gas left in it. It's totally still. Still meaning not carbonated, in case you were curious. I'm just going to put our bottling wand on the bottom. Derek will get the siphon going. And some people have expressed curiosity as to why we put it in a pitcher before we put it into the bottle. Why not just go right from the fermenter into the bottle? And it's because of lease, okay? By racking it this last time just before we bottle, we're actually eliminating all the lease from the product. Thereby, we have a clean, easy to bottle product ready to go that we don't have to worry about so much. It also makes it easier for doing it on camera. That way I don't have to pay attention to is any lease being sucked up or anything like that. It also makes the first bottle through the last bottle the same amount of sediment free, which is kind of important. When bottling, I hold it down, wait till it starts to get up. You want it to go much higher than you think, because basically we want to end with the liquid about here in the neck to eliminate as much oxygen contact as possible.
So he's going to fill it all the way to there.
Wait for it, wait for it, wait for it, and right there. That's that terrifying moment that everybody really dreads when it comes to bottling. But if you look, it went just above the shoulder and it's ready to go. We're going to finish bottling all these off and see you in a few minutes. All right, so we got it bottled. We got 3 full 750 ml bottles and 1 16-ounce beer bottle. You know what? That's not so bad. Now, something about this that is a little bit weird. This didn't come out exactly the way I wanted, but it came out really nice. We're going to taste it in just a moment. But I want to point out some things. We added a bunch of yeast over time. I think we actually started out a little bit high, and we stressed that yeast right from the start. It just didn't really have much to go on, and that's why it probably ended a little higher. But it ended at a 13.03% alcohol. That's using our newer, simple concepts. And if you're wondering how I got that, I literally just added up all of the spent gravities. That became my new original gravity minus my final gravity. Done. Or you can just use all of the spent gravity and multiply by 131.25, and there you go, which is exactly how I came to it. Is 13% considered a sack mead? Probably not. But you know what? This makes a wonderful traditional, if you want to think of it that way. And I'm okay with that. It doesn't really bother me. Some people get very hung up on it didn't get to 25,000%. I don't really care. Does it taste good? Did I enjoy the process? Did I learn something? Can I do this better next time? Oh, absolutely, to all 3. Now let's just see how it tastes. First off, the smell, it is like honey water, okay? So it's probably going to be a little bit on the sweet side. We tasted this once before and we liked it. All right, I would not say it is overly sweet, even though it should be. It's not overly sweet. It's not cloying. There is enough body to this and mouthfeel that it takes the sweetness down a bit. I think the orange zest, as much as we only used a little bit, really made a huge difference in this. It tastes a little bit floral, a little bit citric. It's really, really good, okay? I don't care that it's not 20%. Honestly, that doesn't even matter. This is probably one of my more favorite meads. And I'm not saying it's my favorite, but it's probably in my top 10 or 15 that I've ever made. It's that kind of good. If it was 18%, would it taste as good? That's the real question. I don't think so. I think the extra ethanol would have made it more bitter, different flavor to it, and taken away some of the notes of honey. This is very honey forward. If you like mead that tastes like honey, you'll love this. What's going to happen next? We're going to put this in storage. We're going to keep it in a cool, dark place and let it sit for like 3 to 4 months if possible. I don't think so. Derek is probably going to drink it all. And we'll do another tasting on it to see how it aged, to see if it changed over time. But for now, thanks for watching, guys. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.